Hey, welcome back to The Dive. Today on the show, we're chatting with Aydin Kilic from HIVE Blockchain. But before we bring him on, just a quick reminder to tap on that subscribe button. Hey, Aydin, welcome to The Dive.
Thank you very much for having me, Cassandra. It's a pleasure to be here.
HIVE's global hash rate from Bitcoin mining has surpassed 1 exahash. For those who are new to blockchain, what does hash rate mean? And what does this achievement imply for HIVE?
Yeah, that's a great introductory question. So, first of all, it is a major accomplishment. A lot of people talk about their growth and what their targets are, or maybe that they've ordered machines. But having an exahash of Bitcoin mining capacity is a huge milestone. It represents a very substantial portion of the entire Bitcoin mining ecosystem. So the best way to describe it is the hash rate is the rate at which you hash. So for example, 1 exahash is 10 to the power of 18, so which is a massive number, right? So when you are operating, right, you're attempting to solve a block. And so the number of hashes per block is the difficulty, which is an integer number multiplied by 2 to the power of 32. So you end up getting a very large number. And so the hash rate that you have is the speed at which you can work through the hashes required to solve a block. Now, what happens is people connect to a pool so that they can democratize their rewards and get a reward every 24 hours usually, or a reward every block. So the best way to think of it is, what is your hash rate that your mine produces relative to the total network hash rate? So right now, the total network exahash is roughly 125 exahash globally, all of Bitcoin, right? Globally. And HIVE has 1 exahash. So that's almost 1% of the entire Bitcoin mining network. So if you put that into perspective, you've got approximately just under 1% of all of the Bitcoin mining rewards. And so that works out to, so currently, total miner rewards per day are about, somewhere between $40 to $45 million US per day, right? So it's a very, very big number. And so HIVE earns about 1% of that, which is roughly 7.2 Bitcoin per day is what 1 exahash generates for you, which is roughly about $350,000 USD, right, per day, right? So it's a very substantial number, and it's a lot of processing power, and that's sort of the best way to describe it. The difficulty, by the way, currently is 1.76 to the power of 13. So for all the math whizzes out there, the number of hashes per block is 1.76 to 10 to the power of 13 multiplied by 2 to the power of 32, right? And so the beautiful thing about mining Bitcoin, or mining any other cryptocurrency, frankly, is that everything can be mathematically deduced, which is something that people tend to gloss over or not have a deep understanding of. But the information is very accessible. So it's actually a nice business model, because you can ascertain things quite definitively. And you can't predict future Bitcoin price, but with historical data, you can be quite accurate in terms of determining what your miner reward will be. The only other variable, of course, is transaction fees, but that's a separate discussion.
How challenging is it for you to expand your Bitcoin mining capacity, considering worldwide chip shortages and logistical delays?
Yeah, so I think that question would apply to a new market entrant that doesn't have the history and brand recognition, and good business practice that Hive has. Hive has long-standing relationships with many of the largest manufacturers. We have shipments with MicroBT, Canaan, and Bitmain, right? So we're well diversified. We've spent a lot of money buying, supplies of chips that are, come in monthly allocations. So we've secured a good pipeline of chips. And, we also mentioned a very large purchase with NVIDIA as well. So both on the ASIC and on the GPU side, Hive has sort of secured its future growth pipeline by allocating these orders. And so, it requires a lot of strategic outlook, careful planning, and of course, allocation of capital, which, along with Frank as executive chairman, myself as newly appointed president and COO, we look forward to doing. And it's key to be able to plan, 2 or 3 steps ahead in this business, because you're also balancing your infrastructure, right? As you lock down your chip supply, whether they're ASICs or GPUs, you also need to make sure that you have megawatt infrastructure of operating capacity, so you can have chips that are hashing, right? And so it's a delicate balance, albeit one that we've been quite successful with. And that's another thing. Like, some of the other larger American Nasdaq traded companies, some of them don't even own their infrastructure. Some of them just host. And in my opinion, I've been in this industry for 4 years now, at the institutional level, and it's dangerous, right? If you don't own your own infrastructure, and if you're completely relying on a hosting arrangement, when mining revenues, whether difficulty increases or Bitcoin and Ethereum prices fall, your margins can get squeezed. And it's quite endemic to the cryptocurrency mining business, where people that only invest in machines and don't have low operating costs by way of controlling their own infrastructure, they can be in for a really tough time. So that's another key thing that people don't talk about as much. And so we've got a great pipeline for growth too, as on our infrastructure. So I was just talking about how important it is for crypto mining companies to own and operate their own infrastructure. Some of the American Nasdaq listed players, I won't name specifically, but one of the very big names doesn't own any infrastructure and completely relies on hosting. And I talked about how Hive has a great pipeline of infrastructure. And so a big part of that story is this wonderful acquisition we did of GP1. And there was 2 really great things about that acquisition. One was this 50 megawatt, military grade Bitcoin mine that I'd actually flown out to see myself. And I've seen Bitcoin mines all over the US. I've seen Bitfury's mine in Georgia. They're 40 megawatt. I've seen, all sorts of mines all over the place. And this one was really, really top notch. I was really impressed with the quality of the build, the engineering, and the modular, very clean and highly scalable design. And so that's a major commendation to the entire GP1 team. And so that's the one great part about that acquisition. The other great part of the acquisition is the GP1 team. Very bright individuals, very well rounded. You have guys with a law degree, CPA, crypto geniuses. And so I'm actually quite thrilled to be working with all of them as part of the Hive family now. We have daily calls, and there's just so much intellectual capital. So this facility, we actually own the land, and New Brunswick Power has been a great strategic partner there. We've in fact recently expanded our footprint there by buying even more land, and we're looking to have 70 megawatts instead of the 50 megawatts. So we're and construction is underway. We've got a great construction team and a great construction management team, and so as New Brunswick is promising to be a really great Hive stronghold. In addition, of course, to our operations in Quebec, Sweden, and Iceland. So we've got we're a truly global company. That's another aspect of Hive which is unique, is that we are truly global in terms of our footprint of operations. So it's we're doing very well, in my opinion, in having a green and clean megawatt infrastructure for all the chips that we've secured for future delivery, as well as to operate our current capacity. One thing about the GPU1 acquisition that I should mention was actually Frank's foresight in recognizing great talent. I think Frank has expanded Hive over the years and added a really great roster of people to the team. So a big part of it is credit is due to Frank's vision and his ability to realize talented, intelligent, and ethical people.
How does the company intend to use the coins it mines? Is there a plan to hold it or immediately convert it into cash flow?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have a good amount of a very strong amount of cryptocurrency on our balance sheet. We believe that the institutions, as well as the retail investors, want access to owning cryptocurrencies. They believe it is an emerging asset class that every day gets more and more support, from big names. And so, for some people that aren't able to purchase cryptocurrency directly, they can buy a company like Hive, and Hive has performed very well. In fact, I was speaking with Frank today, and he noted that Hive has actually outperformed Ethereum year to date, and so it makes Hive a great proxy for owning cryptocurrency, in that we actually have a very strong balance sheet crypto. So yeah.
Now, we all know Hive is the world's oldest publicly traded cryptocurrency mining company. Have you seen any changes since Hive began trading on the Nasdaq last July 1st?
Well, I was actually at the ceremony where Hive rang the bell, and I've got to say it was a wonderful life event. It's been a great experience ever since, and we're very proud that we are listed on the Nasdaq. Having graduated from the TSXV. By the way, Hive was the most liquid company traded on the entire TSXV in 2020, and we just expect Hive's liquidity to grow. It's now traded in of course Europe and on the Frankfurt Exchange, Canada on the TSXV, and now of course the Nasdaq. So I think that what it does is it really puts Hive front and center, as a great company for institutional capital to invest in. So we look forward to building our company and being on the radar of all the U.S. institutions, in addition to all the Canadian institutions. So it allows more of the investing public to access the Hive story, and so we think that it's a very positive path for as our company grows.
Ethereum recently implemented a major change known as the London hard fork, which modifies the way transaction fees are computed. What impact might this have on companies like Hive? Will this influence the company's growth plans?
Yeah, so the London hard fork, also known as the EIP 1159 protocol, basically changed how the miner fees worked. They wanted it more predictable for the end user. And so, the immediate impact was the base reward was burnt, but there's still a tipping system, and so there's still metric. Ethereum mining. We're still evaluating what it will once the dust settles, because you still have legacy blocks that are being mined that aren't actually, um, you know, being put together under the new protocol. And then you've also got DeFi blocks. So what we're doing is we're sort of monitoring the net reward that we actually get daily. But even if I think the general consensus is that it will somewhat attenuate the total rewards that miners can make. In that you had some very, very lucrative days previously from transaction fees, right? And so you would have these big spikes in transaction fees, which would go to the miners. And so they're trying to democratize that a little bit. But with Hive, we recently, as it had been press released, have made some large purchases with NVIDIA. We've got the A40s, the A4000s, and the A5000. So these are the best of the best, and these are if you will, the most attractive GPU chips, and so by having more GPU hash power, it sort of allows us to be more efficient and thus profitable. And so we're always cryptocurrency mining is always a very, again, as I said earlier, you have to think 2 or 3 steps ahead. So we're very mindful of it, and our analytics team, which I participate in, we study this stuff very closely. But still, the business, Ethereum mining, is very lucrative, and especially as there more demand for Ethereum, whether it's from DeFi, other layer 2 applications. It's still an attractive business. And of course, there's other uses for GPUs, other applications, and so by having a large network of GPU processing power, it actually gives us lateral optionality in ways to generate revenue.
At this stage, what are your thoughts on blockchain's future?
So I think there's so many interesting applications. I mentioned layer 2 applications on the Ethereum blockchain with DeFi, and I think that it's drawing a lot of talent on the developer side. That's very attractive. I think on the proof of work side for mining, we are seeing a big push towards using renewable energy, green resources, things that don't leave a big carbon footprint, which is a societal trend as well. But I would note that Hive has always been a green energy miner, and that's been green and clean has been the mandate since day one. Hive is the original, not only the first public crypto mining company, but also the original ESG conscious crypto mining company before it was trendy, so to speak. So I think that more companies will seek out having less of an impact on the carbon footprint, and those that don't, I think that they may fall. It's you have to be aware of your impact, right? So it's not just about well, I can get a bunch of coal electricity in a politically unstable region. So you see how important it is to operate in politically stable jurisdictions. We know what happened recently in China with the big crackdown, and in addition to political stability, having a low carbon footprint, and ideally using renewable energy sources. So I think that both proof of work and you know, applications by developers on blockchain, and there's really cool stuff happening on the Bitcoin blockchain as well. You know, Lightning and Liquid and all these really great initiatives that are a lot of them are live now, right? And you know, I was at a conference in Miami, and one of my industry colleagues was showing how, you know, through his RSS feed, he had followers that would be able to donate satoshis, right? Bitcoins, you know, 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin is a satoshi, and you know, he has a very popular podcast, and he was receiving these satoshis from his fans, and you know, they're submitted through the RSS feed off chain, and then eventually they get added to the blockchain, right? So we're seeing you know, fluidity for microtransactions becoming quite prevalent. So, you know, this outdated notion that, you know, Bitcoin is not a practical medium for processing transactions or payments. I think that's for people who have fell behind the times and don't realize all of the wonderful developments that you know, the coding community has made for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I think you know, the future is bright. That's how I'll cap that statement off.
Okay, wow, interesting. So one more thing before I let you go here, Aydin. Are there any major events investors should keep an eye on over at HIVE?
Yeah, I think our growth and our stock price, you know, is as Frank likes to say, you know, just look onwards and upwards. You know, I think that again, just with the great amount of talent, you know, our technical team in Europe, the GP1 team in Canada, and you know, the Hive executive team, which I'm very proud to be a member of now. We're poised for growth, and you know, as we continue to forge our relationships with the chip suppliers, as well as build out our low cost megawatt infrastructure, um, and using green and clean energy. You know, we're the institutional asset class in cryptocurrency mining, while being mindful of developments in the industry, and how we can always be you know, on track as you know, the technology develops, and you know, policies evolve. So there you go.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Aydin.
Yeah, thank you very much, Cassandra, for having me. And you know, recently I've been being appointed Hive's president and chief operating officer. You know, I look forward to sharing our story of growth, and look forward to reconnecting with you in the near future to give you an update.
And to our viewers at home, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you tomorrow.